도전 프로게이머 인생에 정점을 찍어보고 있다는 그 약속 지키네요. 이영환 선수의 두 번의 역전패를 당하면서 아쉽게도 탈락하게 됐고 ASL에서 태풍이 왔습니다.
포괄 태풍이 제일 독하고 무섭거든요.
13. 네, 13대
진짜 한도 끝도 없이 전략의 전략으로 상대방을 덮어버립니다.
태풍 이영환 선수의 완벽한 후에 8강에 올라갑니다.
에이스 테란 카드의 성장을 기다리시는 분들이 많이 반길 것 같아요.
좋은 위치 선점해왔습니다만 밀리면서 결과적으로는 패배를 기록하게 됐습니다. 그리고
평소 전진 팩토리 빌드보다 훨씬 더 빠릅니다.
김지성이
전략 두 판을 꺼내들면서
경기 터뜨리네요.
와,
판을 뒤엎고 8강 진출 김지성.
뭐 자신 있는 종족전을 계속 만난다라는 거, 이거 더할 나위 없는 기회가 되는 거거든요.
8알의 승률을 저그전에 달성하고 있는 김지성이에요.
결승에 올라갔던 그 이영환의 모습이 다시 보이는 듯한 그런 플레이를 지금 선사하고 있습니다.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to day one of the round of 8 here for the ASL Season 14. This is going to be a fun one, RoyaL versus Shine. I think I speak for everybody when I say I'm really curious what exactly Shine's going to be doing here. He's such a crazy player, oftentimes a cheesy player. But it seems like unless you're Flash, he can pretty much take out anybody if his stuff works out.
Yeah, that's the key operative, right? Is that it has to work out. Sometimes he loses games, and you're like, well, that was not even close. And honestly, I think out of every ASL player, he is the one who probably has the widest range of players he could lose to because of the crazy style he plays. He has that full range on who he can win against as well.
Yeah, you know, it's a funny thing with Shine because I don't feel like we have any other player in the ASL or in the GSL or even in past StarLeagues who was quite this degree of like the accentuation of a crazy, cheesy, wacky player. And so whenever we cast him, I feel like I have to, like, I don't know, put on a different pair of gloves or a different pair of shoes as far as navigating the broadcast because this guy really shows that, you know, Zerg can be such an insane, flexible race and can do such cheesy or deceptive stuff. But he's going up against RoyaL, and RoyaL's an extremely clean, very modern Terran. I feel like this is one of the guys that is continuing to dig away and discover what exactly Terran can do. So I think this is going to be a really insightful matchup in kind of how the ZVT can operate overall.
You know, I think it's going to be really sharp, and we're going to have really one-sided games because, honestly, RoyaL, he shows a lot of cheesy plays as well. We definitely saw in the last one. Like, remember when he had, like, 3 SCVs on Minerals, and he, like, just gets a Vulture in too fast, and it's just crazy builds like that. Yeah, I think anything could happen here.
나의 레벨은 다르다 어나더 레벨 핫식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 14. 자, 오늘부터 이번 시즌의 8강 경기에 막이 올라갑니다. 첫 번째 경기는 김지성 선수와 이영환 선수의 경기가 성사되는데요. 이 두 선수는 경기 전 어떤 생각을 가지고 있는지 만나서 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 김지성 선수 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 이영환 선수 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
먼저 김지성 선수 16강에서 8강에 진출한 이후에 만나고 싶었던 상대 이영환 선수와의 대진이 성사됐습니다. 현장에서 조추첨을 지켜보셨고 굉장히 좋아하는 모습을 제가 확인할 수 있었는데요. 당시의 심경을 좀 말씀으로 설명할 수 있다면 어떻게 설명할 수 있을까요?
그때 진짜 영환이 형을 진짜 그 전부터 계속 만나고 싶다고 얘기를 했는데 딱 형님이 뽑아주셔가지고 그냥 뭔가 4강 간 느낌이었어요.
이영환 선수를 꼭 만나고 싶었다라고 김지성 선수가 이야기를 했거든요. 이영환 선수의 입장에서는 이번 8강 대진의 상대 김지성 선수 최상의 상대라고 좀 느껴지셨을까요?
일단 테란전이라서 솔직히 토스전을 좀 더 하고 싶긴 했었는데 좀 쉽지 않다라고 생각 들었어요. 상대가 이제 저그전을 너무 잘하고 있기도 하고 그래서 좀 어렵기는 했었어요.
이영환 선수의 경우에는 이 시즌3 이후에 무려 11번째 시즌 만에 또 오전제를 준비하셔야 하는 입장이기 때문에
네.
이런 오랜만에 다전제 준비 과정 역시 좀 녹록지는 않았을 것 같거든요. 어떠셨어요?
그냥 늘 하던 대로 이제 준비해 왔었고 근데 이제 사실 좀 테란전이 걱정되긴 했었는데 이미 좀 지성이가 신나 있는 것 같더라고요. 근데 5년 전에도 이제 대진에서 저 만나가지고 이미 신나 있던 친구가 있었거든요. 원래 경기는 하기 전까지는 아무도 모르기 때문에 경기 해봐야 안다고 생각하고 그래서 좀 오히려 좀 더 제가 준비해온 대로 좀 잘 풀어 나갈 수 있는 상황이 될 것 같아요.
김지성 선수가 이렇게 이미 4강에 올라간 것처럼 기뻤다라는 반응을 이영환 선수도 보셨을 텐데 그때 오히려 좀 자극이 되지 않았나요?
오히려 좀 더 여유 부리고 본인이 은연중에 좀 자만심이 심어지는 것 같아가지고 이러면은 충분히 내가 해볼만 하다라고 생각을 했었어요.
김지성 선수 입장에서는 자신감을 내비쳤지만 사실 상대가 이영환 선수거든요.
네네.
전략적인 부분에서 모든 대처를 준비하기란 또 쉽지가 않았을 것 같아요. 준비 과정 어땠나요?
저는 이미 그 전부터 이제 영환이 형 같은 스타일을 상대하는 법을 알고 있기 때문에
네.
오늘 저는 쉽게 당해줄 생각은 절대 없어요.
김지성 선수가 말씀하셨던 것처럼 ASL 내에서 보여주고 있는 이 저그전의 기세 물론 훌륭합니다만 이영환 선수도 16강에서 3테란조의 그 속에서 뚫고 올라온 또 저그 선수기 때문에 오늘 경기 많은 분들이 어떤 흐름일까 좀 예상하기 쉽지 않게 느껴지실 것 같습니다. 이 각각 본인들은 오늘 경기의 흐름 어떻게 흘러갈지 어떻게 예상하고 계시는지도 좀 궁금해요.
솔직히 객관적으로 봐도 제가 실력적으로는 지금 영환이 형보다 확실히 위라고 생각하거든요. 근데 이번에 16강 할 때 보니까 확실히 한 방은 있더라고요. 재호 형도 끝까지 코너까지 불어붙이는 거 보니까 저도 방심은 하면 안 되겠다 생각하고 이번에 절대 그런 플레이를 안 하려고 저는 준비해왔고요.
네.
꼭 한번 잘 해보겠습니다. 네.
초반의 흐름을 가져갈 수 있을 거라고 좀 예상을 하실까요?
솔직히 지금 머릿속에 영환이 형 뭐 할지 좀 뻔하거든요.
뻔하다는데요. 이영환 선수 머리를 극적이고 있는 이영환 선수 뻔하다는데요. 뻔하지 않은 수를 준비해 오셨겠죠. 이영환 선수라면.
사실 좀 제가 해오는 패턴들이 이제 좀 많이 보여지다 보니까 익숙해져가지고 아마 머릿속에 다들 생각이 있을 거예요. 근데 그 생각해야 되는 그 제 뻔한 수가 너무 많아요. 그렇기 때문에 그 많은 수들 중에 잘 이용해가지고 심리전 걸어서 하면은 충분히 할만하다고 생각해요.
이영환 선수가 8강 진출이 확정되고 나서 보여줬던 그 손가락 하나를 올려주셨던 그 세레머니 과연 오늘도 볼 수 있을지 좀 기대를 해봐야 할 것 같은데요. 마지막으로 양 선수의 각오를 들어보겠습니다. 김지성 선수.
영환이 형이랑 이전에 ASL에서 24강에서 몇 번 만난 적이 있었거든요. 근데 그때마다 항상 제가 올라가는 발판이 돼주셨는데 오늘도 그래 주셔야 될 것 같아요.
좋습니다. 확실한 도발 그리고 각오까지 밝혀주셨는데요. 이영환 선수도 이에 맞서는 각오 들려주시죠.
일단 또 연달아 테란전 하게 됐는데 준비한 만큼 제가 준비해온 거 잘 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
네, 두 선수의 멋진 8강전 경기 기대하겠습니다. 인터뷰 고맙습니다. 고맙습니다.
감사합니다.
자, 이번 시즌 첫 8강 경기를 앞두고 있는 김지성 선수 그리고 이영환 선수와 함께 이야기 나눠봤습니다. 과연 어떤 선수가 가장 먼저 4강에 이름을 올리게 될지 경기 함께 만나보시죠.
All right, dude. Let's get this going, man. Allegro for map 1, Neil Arkanoid map 2, then Vermeer, Odyssey, and Nemesis if we get all the way through to all 5 maps. This is going to be, again, an interesting one. Shine, that interview, a bit of it undeniably about his preparation coming into this. We got to see what he's going to do. I don't want to typecast Shine too much, but to be honest, I don't envision this best of 5 having a lot of drawn-out mid-games where he's gone Mutalisk Zergling and then Lurker later and then get the Defilers. I don't think we're going to have that kind of game. I'm imagining more like potentially surprise Guardian rushes, hatcheries hidden in weird parts of the map, techs into Mutalisks that are then faked out into other, maybe lurker rushes, stuff like that.
Sure. I would definitely agree with you on that. I don't think we'll see any very standard games. One thing I want to mention on that map order, on the 5 maps that we have 3 maps that are not standard and 2 standard maps. And of course, you can see who picked what for their maps. So opening up on Allegro here, I think that if Shine can take map 1, that gives him a really reasonable chance to win the series, because his type of planning and his type of play can work out really well on Neo Arkanoid. Odyssey was map 4, that's a map that he might be able to make work. And of course, Nemesis is the final map, is that crazy map with the geysers and the eggs and everything, right? So there are chances for Shine's big brain to really show here, for him to maybe make something work. But I think if RoyaL brings his just most solid play, it's going to be hard for Shine to wiggle through that.
Yeah, I think that RoyaL is probably the favorite going into this, just because I do think he is a Terran player that does know the fundamentals very well, but also I think he's already exhibited a lot of flexibility and ingenuity in some of his games coming into this. So I feel like, unlike many of the other players in the ASL, I think he has a little bit of shine inside of him, if that makes sense. Like, he knows how to be cheesy, he knows how to be creative, and I think if you have that kind of insight, it's hard to get cheesed out. Does that make sense? A cheesy player oftentimes doesn't lose to cheese.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. But both of them are like that, so I guess someone has to win.
Yeah,
right?
but I think RoyaL is more robust and less reliant on that style is what I'm trying to say.
I would
do
totally agree with that. Yeah,
you play both roles.
You literally can't get a Terran to pro level without them being unbelievably solid at macro, because that's like the base of Terran skill, and why you might see less differentiation right below pro level for Terran than the other 2 races, right? Because you have to be rock solid. So he has that as backup for sure. It's kind of hilarious, by the way, looking at the win rates, because Shine has a 37% win rate here, but a lot of his games are against Flash. Whereas RoyaL clearly has the highest Terran vs. Zerg win rate in ASL, but he only has 13 games played so far, so we can't. You don't want to take that out of context, right? Like, the less games you have, if you won 1 game, then you're 100%, right? So that obviously is stupid. And then if you compare how many games Sharp has played compared to how many games RoyaL has played, it's like, we can't. Right,
what is Bassford University? That thing on the right. What is that?
Yeah, so that's one of the university teams. So all the pro gamers have self-assembled into the university teams, which are it's huge right now in Korea. Like, everyone's joining them. They're coaching everybody. They're having wars against each other. It's kind of like a pro gamer made pro league with more people on each team.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, it extends
I didn't
really.
know that's what basketball. Oh, we're actually jumping into this game. All right, guys, we're going to go to game number 1. That was a quick intro for this. RoyaL vs. Shine in a best of 5. The winner will move on to the round of 4 here in the ASL Season 14.
So in the top right, we have RoyaL, and in the bottom right, we have Shine. So well, I'm excited to see what Shine's plans are. And the thing is, RoyaL actually does have a lot of out there plans too. He definitely showed that in the last round. So this, I don't know. I like I mentioned before, I think that the games will be sharp and quick and one-sided, because I think they're just going to catch each other. Right? Like, someone's going to do something crazy, and the other guy is going to catch it or not catch it, and then the game ends.
I mean, the thing with Shine is that, and it's important to note that, like, Shine, first of all, is a guy, like, he can play normal, okay? He is a solid player, generally speaking, but he is so known for kind of cheese and aggression that I almost feel like if he were to just dial it back a little bit, and his play style would be a bit more ambiguous as far as, like, what opening will he do, I think he would actually improve a little bit.
Yeah.
But, we haven't seen him, turn away from that. Basically, every game he does something out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
And the problem with doing that is that, it becomes predictable that you're going to be unpredictable.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just it's something that I feel like I say it so often at this point that it's becoming trite, but like for most players, why they're good is also why they're bad, you know? And that's I think that
sure.
It's like your super strength is also your super weakness. And there's a lot of players, I think that is true for everyone except the people that win multiple championships. Like someone like Flash, I'm like, yeah, he has no weakness. Queen, yeah, there's nothing there that you can be like, wow, you're just wrong.
I'm like, no, yeah, pretty much got it, yeah.
Yeah, but someone like Shine, you're definitely right about that, right? Like it's, you know something's coming.
Yeah, and that's the issue. Like if you take a player like Bisu, and obviously this is Protoss, it's a different race, but if you look at a guy like him, he's very comfortable playing absolutely textbook Protoss. Or he'll do the cheesiest thing ever, and that's why he's kind of regarded at periods of StarCraft history as the best Protoss. Where Shine is sort of, it's like, all right, well, like even when I was kind of cycling through the possible cheeses and things that he might do, like if I was a Terran player and I was playing against Shine and I saw what looked like a Mutalisk tech coming, I would almost certainly just expect it to just not be a normal game, right?
Yeah.
And so, going into this series, you know, whether you know his playstyle works or not, I feel like if he's going to improve, and whether it's in this best of 5 or other games, it's going to have to be on the back of whether or not he's able to cycle in both normal play and aggressive play. And by the way, these Lings chasing those Marines all the way up into the ramp.
Yeah, this is actually incredibly annoying. A lot of lost mining time, multiple lost Marines. Shine just kind of ran these around, and Royal got a little bit unlucky scouting Shine last. And he was already being very greedy, having 2 Marines beyond the wall. So that's great for Shine because he did open up pool first, but he only made 4 Lings. Still, though, if you like, he did more than enough with those 4 Lings to lose them. So he should be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, for sure. He killed those off. This SCV is going to come in here and see that it's going to be 3 hatch. No layer yet, but you know he's going to have to make that decision shortly here as he's almost to 100 gas. But right now, this is appearing, at least so far, to be pretty ordinary. You know, ZVT openings here. Quick layer. 3 hatches inside, the 3rd hatch inside the main in this case, but basically going for a powering up play. And Royal's going to send his Marines out and probably force a sunken colony to be made, which would be -1 drone here for Shine.
He might make a bunch of Lings too. His Overlord saw the Marines incoming. Okay, yeah, so Royal actually turns around. That's a great turnaround as well, because look, it did force like 6 more Lings. That would be 3 more drones that he would have, and now he doesn't have just from that move out. So very solid stuff. And since it is 3 hatch and Royal has all the time in the world before Mutalisks, he does go for that quick engineering bay. And I just want to throw out there, like, this is the standard against 3 hatch, but I feel like that is something that Shine 100% will take into consideration, right? Like, I would not be surprised if that's going to be a Hydralisk Den right there. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see what he's going to make here.
Oh, no, it is going to be a Spire. Look at that.
Oh, okay. All right. So it is Spire. Okay, this is kind of exciting, actually, even though, like, nothing that exciting's happened if this was anybody else, but it does appear that he's going to go for a pretty standard play here, going for Mutalisk Zergling. And, you know, we talked about how cheesy Shine is, but again, you know, Royal, this is another SCV scout coming out here right now to try to confirm this. And this is too bad, by the way, because for this to be scouted, this was totally preventable. But again, this is the confirm that the Terran was looking for. Is he sent another SCV out. He says, this is Shine. I just need to know what is coming at me. And he's going to see that it's basically a very standard play for now.
Yeah, he should actually feel the most confident in this type of situation. It's mutas, and they're not even that fast. I think he did miss this drone going out. It flicked onto the screen for like a quarter of a second. So I think very likely he did not see that drone actually go. And that's a really quick 3rd for 3 hatch Tastosis. That is a bit abnormal. Normally you go for the mutas first. But yeah, I mean, he's getting that super, super fast, and we'll see how Royal goes against us. He is going into 5 racks +1. So, I mean, this is as standard as you can get from Royal's side. Is that going to be able to, like, is Shine going to be able to parry that, right? Because this was considered for a little bit to be almost too strong against Zerg.
Yeah, no, this is a very robust way to play the game. And so I look at this game, and ultimately what I'm curious about is how is Shine going to handle this in a very normal game, right? Because, Shine, the big criticism of his style of play has been, okay, he's so cheesy. Is this a cudgel because he can't play standard? Like even for me, like back, pre-StarCraft 2, a lot of times I was really cheesy because I felt like, I wasn't confident just kind of expanding and macroing and,
Yeah.
It's why when I play now, I try to actually be very, good at just, ordinary play because I have to build that in to be a good player. So this is going to be the big test for Shine here. We know that RoyaL can hang with the best Zergs in the world in normal play, but in this game, we're going into a very, very standard play. But this position, by the way, if I can even interrupt myself here, he's actually going to come in and attack in, and these Sunken Colonies are not done, and the Mutas tried to draw the Marines back in. The Marines called the Mutas bluff, and now we have RoyaL coming down. The Mutas are going to have to scramble. Now there's more Mutalisks coming back here than there are Marines on the ground, but this is a pretty big attack in here.
This was actually better for Shine. So basically, like, he tried to get Shine to run away, like you said, right? And I guess on each side the bluff was called. But he ran most of his drones away, and RoyaL actually lost quite a few SCVs in his main. Like, that was a good move from Shine to just dive in immediately and then run his drones at his natural. So he lost, like, 1 drone at his natural, the 2 Sunkens, but he killed all that bio, and he killed a bunch of SCVs. So I think that was fine. I think Shine actually came out slightly ahead there.
Yeah, I like that for Shine for sure. I think RoyaL, that was a tricky position for both of them, by the way, because, once you have enough Marines and medics out and there's Mutas out, both of those unit sets are extremely powerful. So RoyaL's going to once again come in here. Now, he's got to be careful because if he loses this set of units, he's going to have a lot less options, I guess you could say, on the map in general. So, great play by Shine so far here. He's just picking these off. I don't think that position is pregnable for RoyaL now that there's 2 lurkers behind 2 Sunken Colonies. That's just sort of, that's kind of like the secret sauce to basically make this size of units never be able to break in effectively.
And, like, I mean, right now RoyaL is going up into 1 factory, 1 starport. But it's a pretty late hive. You see the Queen's Nest just now starting. So I think that RoyaL has done the correct thing as far as, like, what tech he's chosen. I think that that's going to be pretty strong here. And the game is almost eerily standard from Shine. Like, I mean, 3-hatch is not used a lot right now. It is kind of slightly coming back. I've definitely seen it more in the ladder lately. But it's weird because he's, like, gone into Lurker and now he's going into Hive. And he's doing Mutalisk harassment, and he hasn't tried to trick him at all. So it's very strange. It's very different from what we're used to. But now look at this position with those Mutas, man, forcing the lift off and everything.
Yeah, good call, though, by RoyaL to do the lift off. When you make your buildings like this, you can end up sort of making an inaccessible point. By the way, the Mutas are actually starting to win the fight, and this is kind of crazy because this is 5 racks Marines, so this is like a pretty incredible production engine that Shine RoyaL is sitting on here, but Shine is basically fighting the Marines and continuing to dominate here. What he's got, I guess, got 7 Mutas. The third base for Zerg is healthy. It's going untouched. The Hive is almost done, which means Defilers are just around the corner. Terran basically has 1 more push they can come out with. But once the Defilers are out and Dark Swarm is upgraded, the entire matchup shifts. So we need to see, can Terran come in here and really give the Zerg a black eye, or are we going to go into a really drawn-out late-game TVZ here?
Yeah, it's hard to say. With 3 siege tanks, though, he can push through those Sunkens and those Lurkers super, super fast. Let's see what the Mutas can do. He's going to try to snipe that vessel so hard, Tastosis. If he gets the vessel, and he's going to, my God, my God, that is beautiful. So big. It's so big.
Yeah, I mean, that was so critical. Dude, Shine's playing like he's queen right now. It's so strong. He's gonna he almost came up and decided to try to fight the tanks. And Shine actually may have vastly weakened his position here. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Did he just bungle this entirely?
Yeah,
oh my God.
a little bit there. The Mutas came in and tried to pick off tanks, and they will die as well. So the heavy macro here and the slight slowness of that Hive has ended Shine. Like, that's it. GG.
Oh my God, that game just ended like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane. He should not have tried to shove with the lurkers. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's crazy to me. Look, honestly, Shine did play extremely well and extremely standard, but he you know, both of the armies in TVZ are basically glass cannons. So you got to be very careful with how you execute stuff. RoyaL with you know, despite being beaten up for most of that, he found the Achilles heel. He found that solar plexus, you know, and hit it. And in a couple of seconds, Shine just died out there. You've got to be careful with your lurkers. Once, you know, you kill the vessel, basically you should win the push, but you have to make sure your lurkers are positioned correctly where they can't get out-angled by the Marine tank.
I tell you, that a lot of that game just comes down to the slowness of the Hive. That type of build that RoyaL did, as soon as you have Consume, you're invincible. The siege tanks don't really do anything. So Shine a little bit slow on that. I feel like everything else he did was pretty good, pretty damn strong. But at the end of the day, the pressure from RoyaL, the timing of that attack ended up working out. And if it hadn't, if Shine had held that after the amount of damage he did to his opponent's economy and having 3 base for that long, that game absolutely could have gotten out of control.
Guys, we're going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to continue this best of 5 on with Game 2 with RoyaL versus Shine.
안녕하세요. 16강 D조에서 6등으로 올라간 테라는 김지성입니다. 다자기 5번을 본 이게 뭐지? 이게 뭐라고 해야 되지? PC
허리,
K
어린,
왕자
Y,
셔츠
브로맨스.
브로콜리 6 B조랑 바뀌지 않았다면 더 쉬웠을 것 같아. 예스 결과로 보여드렸다시피 저 바뀐 게 너무 많이 풀었습니다. 5. 화가 바뀌어 오히려 복이 된다라는 뜻의 사자성어는 무엇일까요?
3, 2, 1.
들으면 알 것 같은데. 뭐지? 이런 거 들으면 아는데 생각하면 생각이 안 나. 퀴즈만 나와서 좋겠다. 오! 생각. 인간 성공 변현재 이기기 위해 준비한 것은 진짜 한번 듣고 싶긴 했거든요. 지금 한 4시즌 연속 현장을 만났어요. 한 번은 뭐 16강, 한 번은 오늘은 그걸 꼭 한번 극복해보고 싶다는 생각이 있었는데 못 만나게 된 것도 아쉬워. 다음에 만약에 뭐 4강이나 결승에서 만난다면 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 신조어 오저치고의 뜻은 무엇일까요? 오늘 저녁 치맥고? 이런 말도 있구나. 이게 제가 나이가 늦긴 했나고 옛날에 이런 건 들으면 다 알았는데
나의 레벨은 다르다. 원하던 레벨 하나씩. 블라인드 하씩 종이컵에 담겨있는 하시트 봐봐. 날 무슨 맛이 있는지도 모르는데. 펀치, 파워, 제로, 여시. 색깔이 보라색이네. 제로? 맞아요?
네, 맞아요.
배불러. 내가 만났던 사람 중 가장 유명했던 사람은 누군가요? 아이유요.
오, 펴봤어요?
20대 초반에 이제 프로게이머 시절 때 아이유를 되게 좋아했거든요. 그래가지고 아이유 콘서트도 막 가고 팬사인회도 한번 간 적이 있거든요. 실력이 확실히 올라왔기 때문에 이번에 제대로 한번 보여드리겠습니다. 영환이 형 또 안 친구 제가 3대0으로 이길 수 있을 것 같은데 한번 붙으시죠.
안녕하세요. 이번에 8강에 올라간 태풍저그 이영환입니다. 딱 쳐다보자마자 이게 제일 먼저 보였어요. 결승 진출하면 원하는 상대에 있는지. 저는 개인적으로 결승전을 한다면 김태경 선수랑 하고 싶어요. 제 약간 프로게이머의 시작이었거든요. 그 타이틀이 끝이라고 한다면 마지막에 붙어보고 싶은 선수예요.
Q&A예요. 이영환 선수가 더 이상 쓸 건 없다. 기회를 놓쳤기 때문에 이제 기회는 없다는 생각을 해요.
사실 제가 평소 같으면 까불고 싶은데 워낙에 오늘 게임을 잘하시기도 했고 좀 더 실력을 쌓고 다음 시즌에 기회 되면 붙고 싶어요. 이번 시즌 그만 붙고 싶어요. 퀴즈. 키보드 매니의 F1, F2 키들의 F는 무슨 단어의 약자일까요? 퍼스트이잖아? 펑션이요? 프로게이머는 맞출 수가 없는 문제였네요, 이거. 이건 누가 와도 못 맞춰요. 자, 5칸 쭉쭉 갈게요. 둘 사이의 다툼에서 3자가 이득을 본다는 뜻의 사자성어는 어부질이 아닌가요? 5칸. 커널. 4칸이 돼 원하는 칸이요? Q&A로 가야죠, 안전하게. 이영환 선수 소문난 아들 바보, 아들들 자랑을 해본다면 첫째 같은 경우는 좀 많이 똑똑한 편인 것 같아요. 수도 퀴즈를 내면 거의 한 100개 이상의 나라의 수도도 알 정도로 스웨덴의 수도는?
스톡홀름.
우와! 둘째 같은 경우는 에너지가 너무 넘쳐요. 게다가 이제 수영도 많이 했었기 때문에 몸도 되게 좋은 편이어가지고 다 붙이고 둘째는 약간 체력적으로 되게 좋은 것 같아요. 2칸. 앞으로 2칸. 미션. 하시스캠 80dB 이상으로 시원하게 따기. 자, 들고 해야 되나요? 자, 손가락 좀 세거든요, 제가. 5칸. 쭉쭉 가네요. 돈 vs 명예 무엇을 택하실 건가요? 원래 제 기본적인 뭐랄까 자질 선수 때부터 성향은 명예였어요. 이번 시즌도 방송 쉬면서 8강 16강전 준비했듯이 남은 라운드도 준비 잘해가지고 우승 트로피에서 팬들 기억 속에 우승자로 남고 싶습니다. 깔끔하게 들어가겠습니다. 오늘 5가 많이 나오네요. 아까 타이밍 5번 언급했다고 사람들이 얘기하던데 하나, 둘, 셋 끝인가요? 정말 오랜만에 다전제에 들어온 만큼 되게 준비 잘해가지고 재밌고 또 즐거운 게임 보여주면서 꼭 4강에 진입하도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다. 파이팅!
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be going into Game 2, and I feel like I almost have too much to say about that last game. First of all, quick recap here. Shine was pretty much ahead from start to almost finish. But in the last few seconds of that game, when his lurkers hatched, he ran forward thinking he could basically dive on the tanks, then ran back and ran in between his sunken colonies and his 2 eggs, that then forced his lurkers into like almost like it was an arrow pointing up, which allowed the Marines to then surround him. And the way that
it was sudden. It was a sudden death to those lurkers.
Yes, it was a very abrupt ending to the game. And so what happened was, effectively, the way that Marines beat lurkers is to get a concave around them, and so that's what happened here. He came in there, he hit from all these different angles, and then he killed off the lurkers. So, but that being said, Shine exhibited like really solid standard play, which is what we were talking about. He probably needs to incorporate. He still has that crazy cheesy side. He's still probably the best cheesy player in ASL. So let's see what he does now. We're going to go to an extremely different map. It's going to be on Neo Arkanoid. And let's see what happens, man. Right now, Royal up with a 1-0 lead here.
All right, so in the top right, we have Royal. And in the bottom right, we have Shine.
Where's the other guy, Tastosis? Tell us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Neo Arkanoid, man, we've seen such a variety of strategies at this point. You know, just there's been a lot of cheeses and stuff. We haven't had a lot of games that went to macro games or anything. I honestly have no idea what these two are going to have planned. It's really, really hard to say.
Yeah. I mean, we've had some really action-packed short games on here. And I think Mini kind of flexed pretty hard on this map for basically having what I think is going to be like a very healthy standard build. To be honest with you, Tastosis and everybody listening, I don't really know the dynamics of a ZVT on island maps in general or semi-island maps. So what do you think this is supposed to look like?
Well, here's the problem. There's a bunch of entrances into your opponent's base. So like the best thing would be command center first, but depending on timing, like they might be able to get something that just overpowers anything you can make, because you can't make, you know, static D in one location to defend everything, right? Like if there was only these two temples, command center first would be at every game.
Right.
But because there are those multiple ways in, and the thing is, those middle temples are the easiest to break, which is why that's where you kind of focus your attention in the beginning. And then the side temples have a bit more health, so those do take a little bit longer. So that can make it tricky. And of course, that can be tricky for Zerg as well, because again, there's 3 places to break in, so you can't just concentrate defense in one area. That's what makes this so different, because there are all these mid-game attacks that could occur. So yeah, honestly, I don't know. There used to be solid theory for this map back when it was out, and now I don't think that there is anymore. People have become a lot better and know, like, these very short windows people can hit in reliably, right? Where it's like, yes, this build that I have tuned can kill you right before Muta's on this map, you know, that type of thing.
So we've got this SCV coming out over here. Looks like, you know, he has the option to start to make structures on this. Okay, now hold on a second. Factory over here. So this is probably going to be floated, if I had to guess.
You're certainly right about that. Definitely a factory float, which means he's going into starport right away. The factory, it's probably like a double-edged thing, where like if Shine is top left, this can be annoying, and if not, at least he knows one location he's not in. But yeah, that should mean that Royal is going towards starport, but he's not actually mining enough gas for that. This is a strange game. Like he might have this optimized in such a way where he goes like starport with just enough gas so he can get a quick command center, and then probably a Wraith. That's my guess as of right now.
Okay, so it's probably going to be the Terran sort of acting first with the 2 sides here. And that factory is going to, in fact, be floated over there. He's going to kill off these structures blocking the expansion. And that's the second starport being made, right? Or is that the first?
No.
Was that a command center being made? I'm sorry. Okay, so command center being made over there. My bad, guys.
Command center, and then the one starport, which, again, will probably just go directly into Wraith for scouting.
And so, yeah, I mean, for Shine here, from the Terran's perspective, Tastosis, are you more concerned with Mutalisk play or some kind of ground play, like Hydralisk, maybe Lurker, Zergling, something like that.
Yeah, Ling Lurker is the most dangerous thing that can occur here, without any doubt. That is where the real danger can come from. Mutalisks are like, I mean, we know every fucking timing for Mutalisks at this point, Tasteless. There is nothing that can surprise a Terran player for when the Mutas come. So that's not something you're going to be afraid of. Like, you're afraid of it because it's the best unit in the game, but that's why. Not because it's not like a surprise and you know what to do. So right now he's actually going 2 Starport Wraith. So this is really interesting because that's a pretty fast command center plus 2 Starport Wraith. So we're going to get to see how good is the micro of RoyaL.
Yeah, this is going to be the big test, I think, for that. And so we have the, at this point in time, Zerg just continuing to focus on development. That control center being added on here for Cloak for the Wraiths here. And one thing about Wraiths, they're kind of, in some ways, they're like the funniest unit in the game. They do a lot of damage to air. They do almost no damage to the ground, and they're extremely brittle. Mm-hmm. It is almost like the accentuation of everything about Terran, where it's just such a glass cannon setup, you know, where like they are so extremely powerful air to air. Oh, good save, by the way, with the drone there, just forcing a creep colony. But this will probably come down to Wraiths versus Mutalisks.
Yes.
And I think the kind of pinnacle of that tension is going to be the Overlord on top that is going to try to spot for the Mutalisks and the Wraiths trying to snipe that to then snowball the fight and kill the Mutas.
Yeah, that's where it gets really dangerous because not only do you have to have micro that's like equal to what Zerg has with these Wraiths, you have to play tactically very, very smart because if an Overlord suddenly pops in, like Mutas beat Wraiths, just to be completely transparent about this. If they can see the Wraiths, they win.
Yes,
100%.
Actually, I'm glad you explained it like that because I think I didn't quite emphasize the most important part. The Wraiths will die so fast to the Mutalisks unless the Mutas can't see them, and then the Mutas will die so fast to the Wraiths.
Yes.
And so we're basically going to witness this arms race here on both sides. And by the way, again, you know, Shine, I think on a map that gave him a lot of opportunities to beat Cheesy, has elected to go for a very, like, you know, tested, standard approach here, which is, again, I kind of welcome it. It's cool to see him also, you know, expand as a player here.
Well, I mean, that's what we were saying, right? Is that he does need to be able to do things like this. And yeah, you can see right there, right? 3 volleys and he kills a Muta with 5 Wraiths there because they're cloaked. So from here, yeah, Hydras are starting to pop out. And, you know, obviously he's going to have to get Overlord speed, some great micro coming out of RoyaL, dealing some reasonable damage. This position is very, 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 very good for RoyaL. Like,
yeah, I like the stuff for RoyaL so far.
Yeah, he's in really good shape here. Like, the thing is, you have to actually practice doing this strat, or strats like this with Wraiths, a lot to get to this level. Not every Terran can do this, because you have to have that micro and then also understand your transitions. But the fact that, like, it was Mutas from Shine, they didn't do anything, and now he's going into, like, Hydra Ling and maybe Lurker, it's like, oh, this is a wonderful position for RoyaL. He has to be wary of the counterattack, and once he blocks that, it's just about lights out.
I want to talk about the Wraith micro, but I feel like we have to just point this out because these Hydras are coming forward here. Now, Hydras, excuse me, if you thought Mutas can beat Wraiths if they could see them, Hydras will destroy the Wraiths in a matter of seconds if they can get an opportunity to really engage with them. So we want to be careful here for RoyaL because there is a squishy spot here in the build as the game progresses where the Hydras can come in and basically just wipe the Terran out as they're trying to tech into ground, as long as there's Overlords to spot for him. But this is a great play here by RoyaL to come back in and start to kill off the drones as the Hydras mostly are progressing up to the top of the map.
Yeah, and now the Hydra's actually getting into RoyaL's base. He has double bunker. He honestly needs to just pull some SCVs to those bunkers because Hydras will power down a bunker really, really fast. It's kind of crazy because they do explosive damage, so that's full. And here he goes. He's going to pop this bunker before SCVs can get to it. There's not that many Marines, but with SCVs coming down, a few medics, and the Wraiths coming back, I don't think he can break it quite yet. He definitely needs some reinforcements.
Okay, we've got more Hydras coming up now. And, you know, Hydras are very weak to bunkers here. They just don't kill it off quite. But hold on a second. Is he going to have enough to actually topple this? This is going to be do or die right now. And actually, RoyaL fights him off. And so a pretty egregious overextension here from Shine. And Shine's going to continue to march forward here. Now, if Zerg leans into this, by the way, Zerg did not remake the drones here. So Shine's economy is pretty decimated. It seems like Shine has been essentially pressured into having to all in right now, where development is pretty clean here for RoyaL. And so I think he's going to send his Hydras up here to the north, look for another opportunity, another angle to try to hit in here and see if he can topple the Terran that way.
This is about as bad as it can get for Shine. He's just 100% all in. It's very obvious that he only has one other choice right now. Like, that one very central defense is blocking the main, and then it's like RoyaL has a natural, and that's it. So it's like Shine can only attack one or the other. Now look at this. All the units being brought by RoyaL, but Shine actually rotates back around. He has enough Hydras to break that right there.
Okay. So we've got another big attack up in here. And hold up, man. The bunker falls. The tanks fall. I think it's possible. If Shine can get a little bit further in here, he might just win this game. He's on top of the barracks in Irradiate. You got to take what you can get if you're RoyaL in this moment. Is going to kill off one of those Hydras. The tank is going to be wedged just out of Hydralisk range unless they can get in there. The Lurkers are morphing. Now, again, he has Vessels, so he's going to be able to see them when they burrow, and he's going to go for the dive here.
The Radiate goes off the Siege Tank, targeting down on these Lurkers as well. This should be just about the end for Shine, unfortunately. RoyaL pairing that really well. I mean, tactically, that was an amazing move from Shine. It gave him an opportunity to maybe do something, but the beautiful placement of that Siege Tank was too much. That almost by itself held this.
Oh, man, even the tank lives. GG, Shine falls again. And this is starting to look more and more like it could be a 3-0. It could be a clean sweep. But again, I think Shine playing well. RoyaL just, I think, a little bit more on top of everything. And especially when you see these engages. And by the way, when you see cheesy players, one of the things oftentimes they struggle with is even engagements, right? They're used to basically, you know, having the edge in every fight they take. So, again, you know, RoyaL coming out on top and Shine in hot water right now, man. If he loses the next game, he's out.
Yeah, he loses any more games and he's out. And it's not the showing I think he was looking for. He prepared a couple of pretty standard games for 1 and 2, and they did not work out for him at all. You know, we were talking about this, that RoyaL is going to be very solid, and he's definitely showing that. I like the build that he showed off there as well. I think that made Shine go all in. I don't think Shine's original idea was like, I'll go Spire, make 4 mutas, and then go for a Hydra all in. No, it's because the Wraiths just wrecked everything. He lost a lot of drones. He lost some mutas. He didn't want to play the Mutaverse Wraith game because that is when the Terran's on 2 base. That's a hard one. So I can't blame him too much, but he has got to win this next game on Vermeer.
Guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we return, it's going to be Game 3 here. Hopefully not a 3-0.
그래 걱정 빼고 고민 빼고 망설임 빼고 칠성사이다 제로.
아침은 라떼, 홀릭 점심은 라떼, 홀릭 저녁엔 라떼, 홀릭 둥글하게 달콤하게 라떼 홀릭. 달달한 충전이 필요할 땐 칸타타 라떼 홀릭.
상큼함 맥스, 칼로리 X, 맛있는 탐스 제로. 요즘 제일 탐나는 제로, 탐스 제로. 같이 떠나볼래?
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be going into Game 3, but first, we want to thank everybody who's been supporting us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English. As many of you already know, Tastosis and me are no longer doing this live in the AfreecaTV studio. They canceled the budget for the English broadcast, but you guys saved us. You saved StarCraft, and now we're still able to do it and get it translated. I actually kind of prefer this format, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I think it makes actually a much higher quality product at the end of the day with the subtitles and everything and the nice editing. But yeah, the people on Patreon, thank you so much, guys. You uncanceled us. It's actually a lot like, you know, the greatest movie ever made, Pacific Rim, where they're like, today we cancel the apocalypse. That's what you guys did, so thank you very much for that.
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. And we want to keep doing ASL as long as there's an ASL, basically. And the fact that this game is so old, it's kind of funny. It's like when a game starts to get, 5 years in, 6 years in, you go, oh man, is this going to survive? But then when you get to a game like StarCraft Brood War, where it's like it's 23 years, 24 years, I feel like I'm almost much more confident because it's lasted so long.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of always going to be here, right? Like, we love it. You guys love it. The players are still playing. The game's improving and the meta's changing. And look, man, I mean, this is the esport that started it all, so we're just so happy to keep doing it. And, the thing that I actually hate about esports are these fair weather fans and these people that are like, I mean, this is the thing with Overwatch, right? Where everyone's like, Overwatch, I'm going to cast out. I'm like, you don't even know if the game's good, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You dummy. You think this is going to be a great esport? It hasn't even been released yet, you moron. Like, whereas like games like StarCraft, Smash Brothers, Tekken, Street Fighter, Counter-Strike, these are like the tested games. And by the way, these were
you
games
just named all the best games, Tastosis. You did.
Yeah. Well, these are the games that are actually. I'll throw Dota in there. These are the games that have been. We know that they're competitive, right? And they weren't made with an esport in mind. It's just people discovered it, and we poured ourselves into it. And so I'm not even going to talk about these players. We're just going to go through this game.
Woo, StarCraft, yeah.
StarCraft.
It's old. I love it. Yeah.
It's old. All right, let's get into this game. Both players spawning at the bottom on the map Vermeer here. And again, Shine, look, I mean, we've talked about how he does a lot of crazy strats, how he's very cheesy. And it's true. You can go back and look at all of his games, and I would, without even being able to check the record right now, I would definitely say he has cheesed more than anybody else. But he hasn't done it so far. And now that this SCV is going down the ramp and heading to somewhere near the middle of the map, it's going to be RoyaL that's cheesed first. I was going to say that, maybe we're going to see Shine do something more like what he's done before that's brought him to an ASL Finals previously. But I think RoyaL has made a very calculated decision and realized he's already ahead. he might as well roll the dice and basically make a barracks here in the middle of the map and do, one of the most classic rushes in StarCraft, an early bunker rush.
Yeah. Well, this one in particular won't be a bunker rush. This will be a factory follow-up. Yeah, you can't afford...
Oh, okay.
Like, basically, this is the way to tell I'm going to give everyone a cheat code as to how these proxy barracks plays work. If it's built in the center, it always has a factory behind it, if there's only one. If it's built just outside your main, that means you're expanding behind it. And if it has a factory behind it, you don't have the money for a bunker. So it's like 2 to 3 Marines, 2 SCVs, and you're trying to pick off drones while you get a factory. So that's kind of like the cheat code right there.
By the way, this drone's going to come out here and going to confirm immediately here of this barracks. I don't know if it has enough time to kill the SCV.
Probably not. Like that would be pretty damn impressive. The SCV would have to be the worst SCV ever, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world because you have that factory backup. But realistically, are you going to get much damage done with this 8 racks? No.
So he's going to at least know this is coming. We've got the spawning pool just now started, but that's going to be as Marines are already popping out here. The SCV is going to see where this is at, so we can already begin to put a little bit of pressure on here.
Yeah, the SCV comes up the ramp, just double checks on the timing of everything, sees no gas and the spawning pool being made. Here comes the first Marine, and he needs to pull a few more drones. You don't need, like, every single drone, more than 3. Yeah, 5, 6. Okay, it's looking pretty solid so far. You have to take it seriously, but you also have to be careful here, because if you end up losing like 2, 3 drones, then Terran's pretty happy.
Yeah, the drones can beat the Marines, but the game here from the Terran's perspective is to basically play keep away and try to do damage and kill off drones. And if you don't send the drones, by the way, then you get in a much worse position, which is why the drones have to come out. The bunker starts, which is only going to increase pressure. The drones, he's trying to worker drill on top of this.
Yeah, this is a little bit wild. Like, I mean, RoyaL even skipped his additional depot to make this bunker at this point. Like, Shine has not microed well enough. The factory is, like, halfway done already. So that's game, unfortunately. Like, there is not going to be a way in the universe that you are going to come back against someone that is about to finish a factory and they get a starport. It's just not, it is not going to occur.
Yeah, I actually think this game might just end here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a pretty crippling position here. And, dude, great maneuvering. Just dive into the other bunker. Oh, my God. I think this game just ended.
Yeah, it really did.
Yeah, I think, in fact, the Lynx can't even kill the bunker in time here. It is in the red. It will burn down without an SCV to repair it here. He can actually run back into the other bunker if he wants. Or not.
Well, either way, man, I mean, there's a Vulture that's going to be coming out, which means you have to get a sunken colony. Like, there isn't a choice on that. You must make a sunk, and he hasn't even started it. So the Vulture's going to get there before any sunk can finish. He's going to have to play on the top of that ramp and hope that a bunch of missed shots occur. But then, like, you have to defend against the incoming Wraith. Like, honestly, the game ended when Shine microed poorly against those Marines. And normally that is not a build that kills you, but not the swiftest play out of Shine after he scouted that, to be honest. Like,
it's like not every punch knocks people out, but you can be knocked out by a punch. And this is what looks like a knockout game. I mean, this is there it is, GG. Wow. Crushing defeat there, total dominance, a little bit of a grin here. Sideways grin from RoyaL, okay.
Well, that's the second easiest round of 4 anyone has ever achieved.
That was a very knowing smile from RoyaL, by the way. There was something like, yeah, I really actually got this matchup. I really dominated.
Yeah.
And so RoyaL's going to be the first player to move on here into the round of 4. And, Shine, I'll tell you what, this wasn't really at all in any of the games the kind of series I thought I was going to see. In the back of my head, I was suspecting that this could be a 3-0 just because I think that RoyaL is so strong. But I thought it would be a 3-0 where Shine would look like Wile E. Coyote in the Roadrunner cartoon, where his tricks and traps wouldn't work. But instead, Shine brought, I think, a very solid standard play. But ultimately, he failed on how he engaged with the opponent's army.
Yeah.
He was not able to take fights where it could have gone either way. And in the end there, RoyaL just had a very solid opening here. We can even see now the drones kind of tripping up. And you know, this snowballs very quickly. It is an ability that Zerg have to have like in their toolkit when they play in order to disarm the Terran, but he basically messed it up. And of course, you know, because you're using your workers to defend here, they all die, then you don't really have a lot of recourse, right? Because you don't have anything that you can manufacture behind those.
And what I mentioned before is actually true. Normally there's not a bunker with this rush, but Shine was not handling it correctly. So Royal took that opportunity and said, you know what, screw it. I don't need another depot at home. I can sit on exactly the units I have and just kill it. And he was definitely completely right. It was well done. And thus ends one of our worst series in a round of 8, man. What was better, this or Mini vs. Best?
Oh man, that's going to be debated for decades to come, Tastosis. No, you know, honestly, one thing to take away from this is that, you know, RoyaL is looking like a real threat. We're going to go to that interview right now, guys.
이영환 선수의 경기 모두 만나보셨습니다. 이 선수의 상승세 끊길 줄 모르고 있습니다. 3대 0으로 승리를 거두고 커리어 하이를 갱신하고 있는 김지성 선수입니다. 만나보겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
생애 첫 4강 진출, 게다가 이렇게 깔끔하고 안정적인 경기력으로 본인의 커리어 하이를 계속해서 갱신하고 계십니다. 오늘 뭐 경기 전부터 자신감이 굉장히 많다는 건 알고 있었지만 이렇게 또 빠르게 경기를 끝내실 줄 좀 예상하셨나요? 소감 어떠세요?
솔직히 영환이 형이 정말 생각지도 못하는 빌드를 들고 오면 어떡하나 좀 걱정을 했었는데 생각보다 좀 무난하게 하더라고요. 그래서 첫 판 딱 하자마자 이제 이거 3대 0으로 이기겠다 딱 생각이 좀 들었었어요.
어떤 준비를 하셨는지도 굉장히 궁금해요. 이영환 선수의 플레이를 좀 예측하신다는 듯이 오늘 좀 안정적으로 좀 플레이를 해나가신 것 같거든요.
네, 사실 오히려 영환이 형 입장에서 저를 상대하기가 더 어려울 거라고 저는 생각을 했거든요. 제가 워낙 초반에 뭐 8배럭이나 뭐 생더블이나 이것저것 되게 많이 해가지고 그게 딱 첫 판에 보이더라고요. 그래서 그것 때문에 이제 이후 경기는 솔직히 버미어 같은 8배럭도 솔직히 준비를 했던 건 아닌데 그냥 하면 통할 것 같더라고요. 그래서 그냥 즉흥적으로 했고 오늘 영환이 형의 심리를 제대로 읽었던 것 같아요.
현재까지 ASL 저그전 2자릿수 연승 기록을 이어가고 계십니다.
네네.
이 기록도 사실 대단한 거거든요. 본인의 저그전 정말 좀 명품이라고 좀 느껴지실 것 같아요.
솔직히 그 정도까지는 아니라고 생각을 하는데 이게 이상하게 대회에서는 저그전이 진짜 좀 잘 되는 것 같아요. 이게 확실히 상성이라는 게 대회에서 좀 먹히다 보니까 제가 그 점을 특히 좀 제가 잘 활용을 해가지고 좀 승률이 잘 나오는 것 같아요.
지금의 실력, 지금의 경기력, 지금의 자신감이라면 사실 4강에서 만족하면 안 되실 것 같거든요. 내일 경기를 통해서 김지성 선수의 4강 상대가 겨우 정해지는데요.
네네.
이 상대는 김태경 선수 아니면 김민철 선수입니다. 사실 김지성 선수 결승에 가기 위해서 꼭 본인이 좀 ASL 내에서 극복해야 할 종족전이 또 프로토스전이 아닐까 하는 생각이 드는데요. 어떤 선수가 4강 상대로 김지성 선수에게 더 좋을까요?
솔직히 지금 저그전 폼이 좋은 만큼 저그전을 하는 게 좀 더 편할 것 같긴 한데 근데 방금 말씀하신 것처럼 뭐 저그전만 해서 우승하는 것보다 토스전도 좀 하고 싶기도 하고 그리고 이제 태경이 형이 같은 철화대 보고 제 옛날 팀 선배셨거든요.
네.
형이. 그래서 이런 꼭 높은 무대에서 한번 꼭 해보고 싶었는데 이번에 그 기회가 온 것 같아요. 그래서 태경이 형이랑 할 수 있으면 좋을 것 같아요.
자, 많은 분들이 김지성 선수 너무 잘해주고 있기 때문에 지금 이 기세대로라면
네.
우승까지도 좀 노려보면 좋지 않을까라는 이야기들도 있습니다.
네네.
김지성 선수 스스로의 목표, 도전은 어떤가요?
이번 시즌이 뭔가 진짜 대진원도 그렇고 뭐 빌드라든지 뭐 모든 게 저한테 좀 잘 따라주더라고요. 이번 시즌이 정말 우승할 절호의 기회지가 않나 제 개인적으로는 생각을 하고 있어가지고 이번에 꼭 우승을 목표로 한번 달려보려고 합니다.
네, 또 이렇게 현장에서 많은 분들이 응원을 해주고 계십니다.
네네.
감사의 인사를 또 전해주시면 좋을 것 같고 함께 또 응원해주고 있는 동료들에게도 한 말씀 전해주시죠.
네, 일단 지금 여기 현장에 철화대 김예솔이라는 친구가 혼자 오늘 응원을 와줬어요. 혼자 오기 좀 그랬을 텐데 와줘서 진짜 너무 고맙고 힘이 많이 됐고 그리고 이제 철화대를 하다 보니까 평소보다 응원해주는 분들이 되게 많아졌어요.
네.
그래서 그러다 보니까 그 응원 덕에 힘도 좀 많이 났던 것 같고 다들 너무 감사드리고 그리고 이 자리를 빌어 그 철화대를 운영해주고 계시는 우리 철구청장님께 일단 감사 인사 드리겠습니다. 그리고 이번에 연습을 도와준 선수가 제동이 형, 일장이 형, 그리고 박당현 선수, 유진현 선수 이렇게 4명이 도와줬는데 진짜 너무 잘 도와줘가지고 덕분에 올라간 것 같습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 과연 김지성 선수 가가에서 또 어떤 모습을 보여줄지 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 4강 진출 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 ASL 시즌 14 첫 번째 4강 진출자 김지성 선수와 함께했습니다.
Well, there you have it, guys. Sometimes we have a long, dramatic series, and sometimes one player crushes the other one. Before we went to that interview, I just wanted to finish that thought I had. One takeaway is that RoyaL is a real threat in this tournament. I mean, Shine, you know, look, he kind of stands out amongst the rest of our players because of his play style, but he's made it to an ASL Finals. This guy is an extremely strong opponent, and to 3-0 Shine is no small feat. So RoyaL, definitely a guy to watch for. This guy could take the whole tournament, man.
Yeah, he had Shine's number for sure. I find it hard to imagine him winning ASL just based on the strength of players. Honestly, Shine was the weakest player in this round. There's just no question about that. I love Shine to death. He's so entertaining. He has been to a finals. The rest of the players are stronger. RoyaL's not 3-0ing anybody else. I promise you that. But yeah, let's see what he can do. He's going to have to play the winner of Bisu versus Solki, which is the best match in this round. No one can disagree with that, right? That is a ridiculous match.
To be honest, I'm so excited for this next match, Bisu and Solki. And, you know, that's going to be, I think, one of the biggest tests right now for how exactly Bisu's going to approach PVZ. And PVZ, you know, this is his matchup, man. He really built his whole career off of, you know, just strangling these Zergs. When other Protoss players would just get dominated, they get contained, they get rushed, they'd get out macroed. The thing about it is Solki's got a very sometimes nebulous style of play. I find him the hardest guy to call what he's going to do. Does that make sense? He's very different in how he approaches the game. He's very tricky. And he's got, I think, the complete package. You know, he knows how to macro. He knows how to cheese. He understands the way Protoss operates. But again, you know, Bisu being the kind of aggressive, controlling player in the matchup, you know, he may be able to just bully Solki into submission.
He might. I really don't know what to expect from that match, and I am very much looking forward to it. I think for sure it'll be better than this one. This is probably going to be the weakest match this season that we just had to cast here tonight. But thank you once again, everyone, for supporting us on the Patreon. You have to break a few eggs to make an ASL omelet, right? Like there have to be bad matches for there to be good matches.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the Patreon with the breaking eggs to make an omelet. I'm like, yes, guys, so please send us more eggs so we can make our Patreon omelet. Please, we very much appreciate it. Yeah, man, it was a straightforward series. I'm ready to go on to the next one, to be honest with you. And hopefully we have a closer one in that and not a 3-0. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. We love you. We appreciate you. And the round of 8 match number 2 will be out very soon. Bye-bye.